Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Thick as Thieves, the podcast where we talk about art heists, and we go into the investigation, the significance of the works of art, all that good stuff.
We always, when we introduce what we do, we have a sing-song way of doing it. We're like, we go into the investigation.
Yeah, I'm into it.
We are in the Music City doing investigations. What can you expect?
I am Sarah.
And I'm Veronica.
Welcome.
Hi.
So, tell me about some art news that you've been reading.
My favorite bit of art news in the realm of art crime would be the story about, so you're familiar with Gerhard Richter and his giant multi-million-dollar works of art that are photographs and paintings.
Yes.
In a way. So apparently he was working on a project in 2016 and threw out a bunch of sketches in the trash. And
nice.
This guy went through his trash and got the sketches out and tried to sell them. And it got caught because he was trying to actually authenticate them at the Gerhard Richter archive.
Wow.
He took this work.
So he dumpster dove.
Yeah, dumpster dove some really expensive artwork, and then in authenticating it, taking all the right steps towards turning this trash into Trevor.
Who's Trevor?
Into treasure. He gets caught. So apparently this has gone to court already, and a judge in Cologne, Germany, has ruled that although they were in the trash, they belong to Richter, so he is guilty. This person, don't even know his name.
So he's guilty of theft?
He's guilty of theft, but only fined, well, actually this is a lot of money, but it seems like a little bit of money in the scheme of fines, court fines and so on. The equivalent of $3,500.
Wow, that's really shocking. You would think that if it's in a dumpster, that dumpster is public property?
I really think he needed a better lawyer because I think this could be argued.
I could have won that case.
Yeah, we're not even lawyers and we could win this case for him. Retrial. Is that what we say? Retrial?
Sure, yeah. Redo. We want to redo.
We want to redo on this one.
That's very interesting. A friend of ours, Julia Martin, who also did an amazing work of art for our last, or 2 episodes ago.
2 episodes ago. The de Kooning.
Yeah, she did an amazing artwork of the Woman Ochre painting plus Rita altar. It's amazing. But Julia, hopefully she won't mind me saying this, she has this Andy Warhol print that was found. I don't know if it was necessarily in a dumpster, but it was found in the refuse of a studio in, I think, Chicago. I can't remember. Julia, you're going to have to tell the story.
She's actually right next door. Why don't we just go knock on the door and ask her?
I know. But it was ripped up. It was ripped into 4 pieces, and she just kind of has it hanging.
Did she find it?
Yeah, she found it, and she has it hanging in her wall. She just kind of connected the 4 pieces, and it's hanging. And it was in her old house.
And it's a legit Warhol.
Yeah, and it's awesome. It's really.
How does she know it's really Warhol though?
Well, I don't know. It's a Warhol. It's
I guess you can just say this is a Warhol.
It's a very famous cowboy whose name escapes me right now. Or country singer, I can't remember. Oh, Julie's going to hate me for telling this story. Anyways, I'm all about the artwork found in dumpsters. I think that's great. That's sad that he got charged and convicted. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Lesson to everyone out there. Don't go rifling around in artist dumpsters.
Do it.
Or fuck it, do it.
I'm all about this, and I think we need to change the laws surrounding it.
Yeah.
If the artist throws away the work, it's trash. It's up for grabs.
I mean, I think that's how it should be. Especially, if it goes... it's one thing if it's maybe leaning out on a wall near a studio or something, but if it is in a trash can, that is fair game. In my opinion.
Mine too.
Well,
but feel free to weigh in.
All right.
So you're presenting today.
I am.
I know nothing except that Brazil might be a part of this story.
Yes. It's the biggest pop quiz. What's the biggest, or I guess most populated city in the world?
I think it's Sao Paulo, Brazil, but there are people who would say it's not, and it's a city in China.
Yeah, there's also like a 1980s Trivial Pursuit game that would say it's not, but
Yeah, I guess it changes. But all I know is Sao Paulo has a lot of people, like, what, 25 million people?
that sounds good to me.
I think that's about right.
Yeah, so that's where this heist that we're going to talk about today takes place. It's actually at the Museum of Art of Sao Paulo. And it was, so the work that we're talking about today is Picasso's Portrait of Suzanne Bloch. And it was stolen on December 20th, 2007.
Okay, I don't even know what this looks like.
Oh, you don't? Oh my goodness.
Wait.
All right. So to everyone listening right now, I highly suggest that you Google the Portrait of Suzanne Bloch by Picasso.
Who's Suzanne Bloch?
Well, we'll talk about who she is. Okay. She is somebody. But
She's an actual person.
she is an actual person that like sort of hung out with Picasso for a minute. But this is, in my opinion, Picasso's ugliest painting.
Ooh.
Or just lamest. I think it's just terrible. And I'm sure there are many reasons, I guess some redeeming qualities that you might be able to find in it. But when I look at her face, she just looks like such a Debbie Downer. The painting is just a wet blanket painting that I think is just miserable.
I seriously thought you were about to say, when I look at her face, I want to puke.
No.
Wait, I'm looking at it now. This doesn't even look like Picasso's work. Is this?
Yep, that's it.
Is this like before he became?
No, it's
Picasso?
in his blue period. I mean, so this was painted in 1904. So Picasso's he went through a few periods, and his blue period was about from 1901 to 1904. And this is kind of considered, even though they don't have like exact dates on all of the paintings, this is considered the last painting of his blue period. So for those of you who aren't super familiar with Picasso or that period of time, the reason why it's called his blue period is because these paintings are kind of monochromatic in like blue tones and green tones. And Picasso was kind of in a notorious depression for those 3 or 4 years.
What was he so sad about?
He was really sad because one of his friends shot himself in the head in a cafe in Paris.
Oh, okay.
And so, I mean, huge loss. And, Picasso before that was, a ladies' man and a socialite and the man about town in Paris. But this happened to his friend, and he just sunk into a deep depression, and all of his paintings reflected his mental state.
There's some really good ones from that period.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's like the guitarist, the very famous like old man guitarist painting, and there's actually for people in Nashville, there is a really beautiful painting from his blue period at Fisk University, which I used to work there.
Right.
If you can go by when they have the Stieglitz collection in the museum, there is a really beautiful, it's called Head of a Woman, and it's a really small painting that is from Picasso's blue period, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So you can see it there every 2 years that collection rotates. So.
I think I really there's one, I'm trying to look for it now, called Blue Balls. I mean...
Blue balls?
Oh my god! I mean, blue room, not blue balls. Although I could totally see Picasso doing a painting about having blue balls, but I'm trying to find the blue room right now.
Oh shit!
Okay, so
are you really Googling blue balls right now? Because I have a feeling the result of that's going to be really weird.
No, I'm trying to find the blue room. So Susan Bloch is a part of that, and why did he do a portrait of her?
Well, I think she was kind of a luminary in the Paris scene at that time. So she was a musician. She was like a Swiss American musician. She was in Paris. She was the sister of a violinist named Henry Bloch. So she was kind of in a art based family. She's kind of well known. And she actually played the lute. So she was, I mean, somewhat known. She was married to a mathematician. And she was introduced. So how she met Picasso is she was introduced to him by the French poet Max Jacob in 1904. So she wasn't like old friends with him when her portrait was painted. So Max Jacob introduces her to Picasso, and she sat for a portrait for him in Paris. And there's a pen and ink sketch and gouache somewhere else. There's a version of this that's a drawing in a different museum, and this one in the Sao Paulo Museum of Art is an oil painting. So
Okay.
There are a couple versions of it. But yeah. Otherwise, I mean, not a super well-known person. To my knowledge, he did never paint her again. This was kind of the only portrait she sat for.
I have a question. Do you think... So I agree with you that this is not a stunning painting by any means. Is this commonly regarded that way as sort of one of his worst paintings by other people as well? Or are we like a minority here in thinking that this is a
I mean, this is definitely my opinion. I mean, I don't know. People aren't writing about... I think there's a general reverence for Picasso that like, oh, he painted this, so it's great. I just, of all the paintings I've seen of his, and I would say I'm a Picasso fan. I look at her and I'm just, I don't know. I just get a certain really sad feeling.
Like if someone gifted me
Just
this
womp
painting and they were like, here's a Picasso for you, I would put it in my closet. I would cover it up with a blanket.
I have a surprise for you.
What's that?
Well,
Am I going to get a painting?
Amazon has prints of this available for $15.99. So if anyone wants to troll a friend, you can order a fairly decent sized print, like poster print of this painting on Amazon. And I might. So if you're wondering what you're going to get for Christmas this year,
Oh, God.
it might just be.
I'm going to love it.
This print of Suzanne Bloch. Okay, so let's talk about the heist.
Yes. Let's find out
What happened?
what happened.
Okay, so it's 2007, and this is the first successful heist at this museum since it opened in 60 years. Or it was open for 60 years with nothing. Nothing happened, no problems, no anything. And, this thing happened. It was devastating for the museum and for the city. And it was a huge embarrassment. So what happened was, you know what? We talked about how these heists tend to happen around holidays.
Yeah.
So this is December 20th, like 5 days before Christmas.
Right.
So again, like, I don't know what
When we
the deal
start
is.
our art thief investigator business, we're going to know to tune into holiday.
Right. Yeah, we're going to hire seasonal help. It'll be one of those things because we're like, it's about to
Santa's
happen.
little helpers.
It is about to pop off. We know that like there are about to be a lot of heists around the world.
Right.
So yeah, December 20th. It's around 5 a.m. at the museum. The guards are changing shifts, and 3 masked men break into the doors of the museum. So they use a hydraulic car jack to break in.
I'm trying to picture this.
So there's a crowbar. So when the police get on the scene, there's a car jack, there's a crowbar, and then there's an earpiece that they find that's supposedly believed to, like, that's how they were communicating with each other.
Okay.
Yeah. So they break into the museum. Also, we don't have this for many break-ins, but there's a video, there's security footage because it's 2007. So they had security footage, and there is a YouTube video of the thieves breaking in, and it looks like the way they come, it looks like they're coming from the floor. I don't really understand this video footage at all. It looks like they're coming out of the floor, so I don't know. It says that they used a car jack to break into the museum's steel front doors, but that video looks like they're coming from somewhere else.
Are there a lot of YouTube videos?
I go into YouTube rabbit holes when I look up these stories.
Yeah.
But
I feel like every case that I've talked about has not had video, like footage involved?
Well, there's not a lot on this one.
Yeah.
But there is the secure. It's like very grainy. It's not easy to see, and it's kind of choppy. Like you can't really. There are like little sections missing. But so these three men break into the museum, and they take only 2 paintings. So this museum is filled with amazing artwork, and they take 2 very specific paintings that are, to me, mind-blowing. Mind-blowing as to why why they would take these 2 paintings. So they take Picasso's ugly-ass portrait, and then they take a painting by a Brazilian painter, Candido Portinari, I think is how you say his name, called The Coffee Worker. So it's like a male and female portrait. So you've got Suzanne Bloch, you've got this coffee worker. Those are the only 2 paintings they take. So they really overlook a lot of very famous artists and artworks. I don't know. So the idea is that they were doing this on commission. There was somebody, and we'll talk more about that later, but the idea was there's a specific person who wanted these 2. So,
Right.
thievery to order.
They don't care. They're just they're getting paid to do a job.
Right. But what's really impressive about this heist is it occurred, and we know this based on the video footage, in 3 minutes. So in 3 minutes' time, these thieves were in and out of that place at 5 a.m. right during the shift change for the guards. And so there were 4 unarmed guards and security footage. That was all that they had.
Wow.
In terms of security.
So the guards found them while they were...
No,
they did not.
They just
Okay.
went back and checked security. So
Okay.
when the police arrived, they just found, the tools that they were using, but they didn't have a suspect till weeks later.
Okay.
They also smashed a glass door. So when the guards saw that, they were like, oh no, it happened.
Right. Okay. So that's going to make a sound.
But their main security was just patrolling. That was their security measure. Didn't work. Should have had some more stuff. But apparently, like, the doors were really easy. They were not that hard to pry open. There weren't,
Doesn't sound like it.
There weren't lasers. There weren't, like, complex locks or key fob entries or anything like that. So it was basically very easy. So, the media freaked out, obviously. So when this happens, media goes nuts because it's the first big heist at this. And just I think it's the fact that there was no alarm system was pretty shocking to everybody.
Were people also shocked by the artworks that were chosen?
I don't think so. I think that, these seemed... Picasso seems kind of like a no-brainer if you're going to steal something. And, but the worth... And I don't know in terms of if we're talking about monetary value, what other pieces in the collection were very valuable. But the Picasso painting was worth $50 million, and then the other one was worth $5 million. So this doesn't seem like they were just trying to take the high dollar paintings, because they would have taken, there's like a Matisse and a Renoir and those types of things in there. So with that, I would imagine are more than $5 million. So the the coffee maker painting was only $5 million.
Okay.
But the portrait was $50 million. So that's definitely hot ticket item.
Yeah.
The media in Sao Paulo kind of really just tear into this whole thing in terms of the embarrassment. One art expert who was local said, quote, "It's absurd that the most important museum in Latin America was broken into with a crowbar and a jack." So that's kind of the thing. A lot of people were saying stuff like that. Like, how is this even possible? Oh, also, so the entire collection at the museum was not insured. Nothing was insured.
What?
Which is like a huge faux pas. I don't know why nothing was insured, but it wasn't. That came to light when people started, as the investigation moved forward. Yeah, very dumb. So the state culture secretary went on record as saying, his quote is, "We're annoyed and concerned. this complicates the administration of the museum, which is already suffering a financial crisis. So apparently the museum had to close temporarily in 2005 when its power was cut off. They weren't paying their bills. They were skipping. So this museum was having some problems.
They're, like, cutting all sorts of corners.
Yeah, they were cutting corners. And I think it was like, okay, this was bound to happen. Someone had attempted a heist months before that, but they caught him and they stopped it. So they were even like kind of aware that they were getting targeted a little bit. Mm-hmm. So yeah, cutting corners, slacking off.
They don't have enough money. Yeah.
Right. I think they didn't have enough money to put in a whole alarm system or pay for whatever kind of subscription you need for all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. They just had four guards. That didn't work. So the paintings were eventually recovered.
How?
They were recovered January 8th in 2008. So it was just a few weeks later.
My sister's birthday.
Really? Mm-hmm. Nice. So they were recovered in plastic, perfect condition, in a house that was right on the outskirts of the city.
And how were they found in that house exactly?
One of the suspects turned himself in. Really important museum. Yeah. One of the thieves turned himself in, led the cops to this house saying, like, the paintings are in there. There you go. And this person, this thief with a conscience, was a 25-year-old TV chef, which is just the oddest. I don't know. Like, I don't know what business this person had stealing art. But, yeah, he briefly hosted a cooking show on a local TV channel. His name is Moses Manuel de Lima Sobrino. Mm-hmm. And he turned himself in. Actually, his dad. So I can't really tell. So all of the media stories are in Portuguese. Mm-hmm. And so there's I did a lot of Google translating for this. And some of the dates kind of seem to match up. Some of them don't. But there's a report that says that this suspect's father told him to. So I guess this guy was hiding out kind of on the lam a little bit. And his father went through like TV Globo and said, you need to turn yourself in, like make this situation right. But I'm not sure when exactly that was. So,
okay. But it was his dad who, it's
yes.
kind of funny. Now I'm really curious about this chef guy. Like, what kind of life does he live? So is he a celebrity chef?
Well, he's upper middle class. So okay. There's not a ton of description, but there is his picture. His picture's online. Mm-hmm. You can kind of get a sense of what he looks like. And he's described as an upper middle class young man. And he had a culinary program on this TV channel, and he went to culinary school, and he had a lot of knowledge about works of art.
He was like an aspiring Brazilian Anthony Bourdain, maybe?
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I think that's sort of maybe what he was going for. He really fucked it up, but he was going for this kind of maybe bravado art chef guy.
Right.
So we kind of all we know is that before the robbery, he traveled to Madrid, visited several Spanish museums. And that was apparently for the purpose of establishing contact with a clandestine buyer in Europe, according to police. That's what they say that he had some connection. So what the reports say, even though this person is never named, is that these paintings were stolen for a Saudi art collector. So Saudi Arabian. It seems like
we should just call our show like Saudi Arabian art collections.
I know. And so I'm starting to not believe it because that's what everyone said. It's like, oh yeah, we were stealing it for a Saudi Arabian art collector. It's like, really? Every time? So that's the story with this one as well. But that person was never named. As far as I was reading, I never found a name of that person or whether or not that information was confirmed. But the police say that that the suspect, De Lima Sobrino, went to Europe to make connections with this person and I guess check out some museums along the way. He didn't have a criminal background. So there's not a lot of, it's not like he was out there he's not Spider-Man, who we talked about in an earlier episode, who was just like an art heist pro. And I mean, Sobrino was only 24 5. So
Yeah, I mean, why did he feel so guilt and shame pushed him to confess?
I don't know.
And honestly, like, why would he even feel that bad? No one gets hurt. These paintings aren't national treasures.
I really like it. You're just, what's the big deal? Who cares?
Yeah.
Why not?
I mean, I just think it makes sense when you feel bad about committing a crime where people get hurt or someone's going to suffer a great deal as a result of it, or you're taking something away from people. But it's like he broke into the most important art museum in Sao Paulo, stole 2 dumb paintings, got away with it. Like, great. He should just grow up to be an old man and tell the story to his grandkids. It's not like something you go confess to.
I mean, I guess it was just, Edgar Allan Poe's Telltale Heart. That thing.
He heard like scratching from
Suzanne
Bloch's like fiddle,
playing
her violin,
her lute. Yeah, she was playing her lute under the baseboards of his house, and he could hear it, and he just couldn't stand it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe his dad the guilt trip from his dad.
What does his dad do?
Well, it says he's a lawyer. If I am getting this correctly, it says that Lima Sobrino is the son of a well-known lawyer from Brazil.
Okay, so he's a lawyer.
So maybe it's like a high power. Maybe his dad has some authority or something that convinced him to turn himself in. Like that things would be better if he would just get this over with, turn himself in.
See, and my brain is going in a crazy direction now.
You're like, get out of town, go somewhere else.
No, I'm thinking maybe his dad is actually a part of some crime ring in Brazil, but he's also a lawyer. And maybe something he was working on was there was like a lot of heat and, things were getting kind of, maybe the police were sniffing around something. And then he got his son, go create a distraction.
Yeah.
Because I have heard of a lot of heists serving as distractions from other crimes. Mm-hmm. And something about this one and the nature of confessing and all that, I'm like,
Well, and the paintings that they took and everything, it's just not, it's odd.
Yeah.
It's odd for sure.
Because we've looked at heists where people loved the work they stole. Mm-hmm. And we looked at heists where people stole works that represented something that they weren't getting, like the Goya,
cultural.
or the Mexico City heist. But here's one where the thief is not a professional thief, does not love the work.
Nobody loves the work.
Nobody loves this. And also he gives himself up. Like, I mean, it just doesn't, now I'm just like, what is the point? I think it's a cover-up heist. That's just my theory, just from hearing all this.
Maybe. All right. Maybe. We got a working theory here.
Yeah. So what happens to him?
Well, I'm not really certain about what his sentence was. So that's where the Portuguese legal jargon got a little bit difficult to untangle for me. So I'm not really sure, but they indicted 2 other people. One of them was an escaped convict. So they have, I guess, what they believe are the 3 men who committed the actual heist. And then they also arrested the person whose house they found the paintings in, who was not one of the 3 heist suspects. They arrested him in conjunction with all of this. And they never found out who the Saudi collector was.
Right. So they're all in prison.
Yes. So they all went into prison, and two of the suspects said that they were paid $2.8 million for that heist.
Who gets that money now?
I don't know. I should have just kept it and ran.
I know. I'm very disappointed with, so I think this is a very hilarious heist, but I'm disappointed with the thieves.
We're really disappointed in you guys.
Yeah. If you ever hear this podcast from your Brazilian prison cell, sorry, but.
So he turned himself in after. So there was a couple of extortion attempts that came before, which police are not certain whether or not they're fake or whether they actually came from the actual suspects. Mm-hmm. So the museum's president, Julio Neves, received a letter on January 3rd. So that was, a few days before De Lima Sobrino turned himself in, demanding 5 million pounds. Don't know what that is in dollars. Sorry, everybody.
It's like I think that's like $8,000 right now.
No, million. 5 million pounds.
Oh. It's like $8 million.
I thought you were supposed to be the math person here. You're supposed to be the pronunciation and math conversion person. Anyways, 5 million pounds, whatever that is in dollars.
It's like $8 million. It's between $8 and $10 million.
All right, we're going to go with that. If you believe it to be different, you can call us at our phone number that doesn't exist. So there were 3 phone calls of people demanding some like arbitrary sums of money for the paintings. So who knows if they were real? They could have just been people prank calling, messing around.
Yeah,
that didn't go anywhere, and the police just think they were hoaxes. So the paintings were returned to the museum early in January, and the museum closed. So from December 20th, they were just, I guess, heartbroken and devastated and embarrassed and dealing with everything. They closed until later in January, and they reopened the museum with those 2 paintings.
Whoa, is this the first case where we encounter a museum that closes for a full month post-heist?
That I know of. I mean, maybe it was the holidays. Maybe they were going to be closed anyway. I don't really know. But yeah, they closed.
Wow.
And then they reopened. So they were actually never open without the paintings. So they just acted like it didn't happen. They reopened. Paintings were there. This is also one of the first heists where the paintings were completely undamaged, which I just think is amazing. So the thieves didn't cut them didn't cut the paintings out of the frames or roll them up or destroy them in any way. They were kept in pretty pristine conditions.
Right.
Which is lucky for the museum considering that they were fully uninsured. Mm-hmm. So
have they insured their artworks since?
I don't know, but they definitely got new security measures. That was a big movement in the museum, was to, revamp all of their security so that it didn't happen again. And it didn't happen again there, but a couple of months later, there was another Picasso heist in Sao Paulo. So this was at the Pinacoteca Museum.
Okay, I want to understand so there's like a desire for Picassos in Sao Paulo then. There's like a Picasso fever. That's kind of interesting. So another Picasso was stolen.
Yeah.
Just within the same year.
Yeah, so it was in June of 2008. So that was stolen in December 2007, recovered January 2008, and then in June of 2008, there is another 2 Picasso prints and 2 other works of art, which I can't remember right now, were just in broad daylight. 3 armed robbers went in, calmly strolled out of that museum with 4 works of art. So that was also a big deal. So I mean, I think it was like the city was rocked twice in, a year period or in 6 months, basically.
So they came in with guns and they made people get down and all that, like a bank robbery?
Oh, well, I don't know. They had guns, but I don't know about the whole, I don't actually know what happened. I didn't research that one because that's not my topic.
All right.
That would have
been extra credit.
But there was another heist that, I think that was a pretty big deal that these happened at the same time, because I think they were probably trying to connect them at first, but I don't believe that there was any real connection between.
Well, they already had their thieves from the first one by then.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But they did hold the security guards at gunpoint. I don't know if they made like everybody get down, because I don't know what time it was, but they scared the hell out of some security guards.
What would you do if you were in a gallery in a museum and
and someone held me at gunpoint?
I realized asking that, I'm just like, it's just I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, I think that I would, what I believe would happen, or what I want to believe I would do, is try and figure out what was going on in his life and if I could help him out. I mean, like, look, man, I know. Look, it's hard.
You'd say, I know.
It's hard, whatever you're going through. I know you're in a really tough spot. You're backed into a corner right now.
Literally.
Yeah, but I want to help you. Like, I want...
You want to help? You would say, I want to help you steal the work?
No, I would just say, I want to help you get through the mentally trying time that you're clearly in. I want, I would just try and... I would ask him, like, hey, can we, instead of doing all this, can I buy you a beer? Can we go to the bar? Can I buy you a beer? And let's just chat about it. And if you still want to take this painting... We can work that out.
Can we please just write a movie so that scene is in it?
Yeah, and then how it ends is that he's like, you know what? I was really wanting a friend, and I'm...
Oh my God.
And he was doing all this stuff it was really a cry for help, and he realizes that deep in his heart, and me and him stroll out. I'm saying him, it could also be a female. Me and the thief stroll out of the gallery. We go to the local dive bar, and I just buy a round, and we just talk it out like bros. And nothing gets stolen. We both make a friend, a new friend.
This person becomes your friend too. Genuine friend.
And I bring him on the podcast. I'm like, look, today we're going to talk to a person who was about to commit a heist and
almost killed me.
Almost killed me. Now we're friends.
Yeah.
Imagine the bonding. So that's how I handle that situation.
Okay, I love it.
What about you? What do you do?
I would hope to do the same. Yep, that's the right response right there. I would try to do everything inside me to stifle the voice that says, like, you asshole. I'm trying to look at this painting right now,
Yeah.
I think that's what I'd be annoyed about initially. Is like,
you'd just be annoyed that you were inconvenienced.
I'm in the middle of looking at this.
I'm in the middle of an art experience.
Yeah. I like it. So I guess that chef guy, his show is no longer.
No, and I think it was just brief. It was probably like public access television.
Yeah.
There's a photo of him in a white chef coat. I guess it's like on his TV show. It's heartwarming in a way. I don't know. He was trying.
Yeah.
He wanted to be somebody, and it clearly wasn't working out.
His daddy fucked it up.
Daddy fucked it up. I think his TV show maybe didn't take off like he was hoping it would, and maybe he sunk a lot of money into it. I don't know. And he really needed fast cash.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the way to fast cash, because it sounds like he had to do a lot of work, which was going to Spain and making these connections. He was apparently fluent in Spanish and Italian, in addition to Portuguese.
Right, his native tongue.
Yeah. So he was a sophisticated person. Mm-hmm. I always think it's surprising, when these thieves have a true interest in art.
So far, almost all the ones that we've covered do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm not really sure, kind of how the city recovered from these two heists.
Seems like they recovered pretty nicely.
Yeah.
And also, it wasn't like too devastating. Plus, they got the art back.
Unfortunately, they got the art back. Unfortunately, this painting is on view for everyone to see.
Right. When you're in Sao Paulo, make sure you go see Suzanne Bloch. Don't miss it.
I think it's her hair.
Wait, let me check out her hair.
Coif. It's just all up on her forehead.
It's all up on her forehead.
Yeah, her hair is just devouring.
Oh, my hair has done stuff like this before.
I've never seen your hair do
Why does her hair look like a butt?
It does. She has very, very clear butt hair.
Yeah. We're being so mean.
It's not. I'm not trying to be. I don't want to.
It's not
be mean.
about her. It's about the painting.
It's about the way it's painted.
It's the depiction, not the person.
Right. Yeah. There are plenty of photos of her. She's a beautiful woman.
We're not laughing at her. We're laughing with her.
We're laughing with Picasso.
And her.
It's just you can see where he was. I can just imagine. I'm just imagining the studio. His rendition of this woman is just so.
He's like, I'm feeling really sad. I'm just going to give your hair a little bit more of a butt crack look to it.
Yeah. I think it's a clear reflection of his mental state at that time. He was not seeing things very rosy and very beautiful.
You weren't around to take him out for a beer.
I wasn't around, and unfortunately he just spiraled down. And it's like the way that her lips are kind of snarled, just ever so slightly. Her shoulders are slumpy. I don't know. I just find it very disconcerting. And every time I look at it, I'm like, I wish I could stop looking at that pretty soon.
And yet, you just grabbed the phone for me to look at it, and you couldn't stop.
Well, I needed to describe it accurately.
I really wish we could ask the person who wanted it to be stolen, like, why?
I know. I have so many questions.
Why this one?
Yeah, just of all the Picasso paintings out there, which there are many. He was a very prolific artist. There are just so many to choose from. If you're going to steal if you're going to really go through the trouble to steal one, I just for the life of me cannot figure out why it would be that one. Unless this person, so maybe the Saudi collector has some kind of connection to her, or maybe he's a really huge loot fanatic and maybe he has a collection of loots and then he wants, I don't know. There's some possibilities, but
this is the worst painting we've talked about.
It's the worst painting we've talked about. Yeah, that's true. But I think that just kind of makes for a funny heist. Because I don't understand it.
Ugly work gets stolen too.
That's true.
Everybody. That's the takeaway.
Yes, we don't discriminate here on this podcast. Or I guess art thieves don't discriminate. They take ugly paintings too.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Right. Thank you, Sarah. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in to Thick as Thieves, episode 7.
Is it? Who knows? 6, 7, 8.
It's 7.
Great. 7.
I'm the math person, remember?
Yes.
How I became that, I don't know.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
This podcast is brought to you by We Own This Town, based in Nashville, Tennessee, run by producer Michael Eads. And our theme song is by Patrick Damphier, who just came out with a new album called
Say I'm Pretty.
Say I'm Pretty.
Go buy it.
Which Suzanne Bloch needs. And our artwork is done by, you say her name so much better than I do.
Saskia Keultjes.
Yes. Yes.
And our episode-specific artwork this week comes from Paul Collins, who is an incredible artist and a dear friend. He drew his own version of the portrait of Suzanne Bloch, and it is amazing. She has a giant bouffant, and you can see it on our Instagram page at Thick as Thieves Forever. And you can check out Paul's work on his Instagram page at I'm Paul Collins, or his website, paulpaul.com.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.